Hi. Hello. Today is January 30th, and I am here with a January wrap-up. How was your January? Mine was sort of insane. Yeah, not a ton of reading. I read 5 books. Work has been really crazy and stuff going on that is pulling the attention in other places, you know? But 5 books. Also, one pretty thick guy in here, and I am gonna keep repeating this every month because I need to tell myself this. The numbers don't matter. We are going to read slowly this year. We're gonna read thick books this year. We're gonna read with intention this year. The quantity of books is not important. I don't really want to play with you right now with your giraffe, but thank you. So sweet. Is that a gift for me? Great. Let's talk about books. The first book I read in January was An American Childhood by Dillard. This was sent to me by the amazing Julie of Linen Librarian, longtime fantastic Instagrammer, newly fantastic YouTuber, so check her out, Linen Librarian. This is a memoir of Dillard's childhood from youth to 18, growing up in Pittsburgh. It's very episodic, scene from her memory from childhood. Not every episode or scene is as strong to me as others. There are some great ones that really stick with me. There's a scene after a giant snowstorm in which she sees her neighbor ice skating on the street under the streetlight at night. There's a snowball fight scene that's fantastic. The best part of the book is Dillard's mother. She's amazing. This whip smart, very funny, practical joker. She tells about how sometimes for fun, for shits and giggles, Dillard's mom would go up to couples on a date, bring little Annie up to them and say, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you in 7 years. You look just the same. Would you like to meet your daughter, Annie?" And then she would walk away and listen to the woman on the date be like, "What the fuck was that?" That's amazing. Phenomenal. I love how Dillard writes about her love and reverence for her parents in a way that really evokes the way little kids feel about their parents. Doesn't sound like she's writing from adulthood. It's very sweet. Thank you, Julie. An American Childhood was my first book. And then I read Mating, which took me a very long time, and I loved it. Mating. Okay. Here we go. This was a gift from Lindsay of In and Of on Instagram. Lindsay and I spent some time together in Virginia over the holidays, over Christmas, and we went into a used bookstore and she bought this for me and said, "You have to read this." So obviously I did. Wow, where to start? Norman Rush, our author, Norman Rush, and his wife, this is some biographical information for you, ran the Peace Corps offices in Botswana for several years. So most of his books and short stories take place in Africa, specifically Botswana. In this story, we have our main character and narrator, unnamed thinky woman, written by a man. I know. She is an anthropology student doing some sort of a dissertation in Africa, and within the first 2 pages it becomes clear that it's a failed dissertation. She has nothing. And then she sort of is lost for a little bit until she meets this man named Danoon. Danoon runs a utopian commune intentional living town in the middle of the Kalahari Desert in Africa, in Botswana, that is designed to be this matriarchal society where women are in control. She falls in love with him instantly and decides she has to get there even though she's not invited, has a harrowing journey through the desert and gets there. They fall in love, cohabitate. The book reads like her anthropological study or journal or diary of the event. She is recalling it in the future, and these are her notes. Sort of reads like this is her dissertation. The study was Danoon and their love. It's really a book about gender, this gender utopia setting, but also the differences between genders, and ultimately Danoon turns out to be sort of a disappointment. We learn that even this man who has the highest intentions, whose life work is creating this land of equality, is kind of a dick. Real letdown. And let that be a lesson to us all that even the best of men are still men. The author, Norman, has the most beautiful dedication in this book to his wife, Elsa. I listened to some interviews in which he says, this narrator is Elsa. This narrator is entirely my wife. Here's the dedication. Everything I write is for Elsa, but especially this book, since in it her heart, sensibility, and intellect are so signally, if perforce esoterically, celebrated and exploited. My debt to her, in art and in life, grows however much I put against it. That dedication also reminds me of how pretentious and in a fun way the language and vocabulary is in this book. A lot of Googling, a lot of it is made up words, a lot of it is French words, a lot of it is just very obscure words that aren't in use anymore. But he has this concept in the book of the idioverse. Again, that's a made up term, I'm pretty sure. That being the language that two people create with each other when they are in love. Words take on new meanings, or you make up words that mean something specific to the two of you. You start to speak this language that only the two of you speak, and that is seen throughout the book. All of these phrases that don't have meaning in the real world. I loved that. That was my favorite part, I think. This was a good book. This was definitely my favorite book of the month. You should read this, chonker. Okay. Next, I read Childhood by Tove Ditlevsen. This is the first of the Copenhagen trilogy. This is a memoir of her childhood. 2 childhood memoirs. This one and this one, very different. This is lighthearted and sweet. This is incredibly dark. When I posted about this on Instagram, I said this is my brilliant friend without any friends. All the darkness of Naples and the violence from the Ferrante quartet without any of the joy or friendship. It's dark. They are poor. They are mistreating each other. You get it. I thought that, it's a tiny little book. I thought I was gonna sit down and fly through it, and it took me a couple days because I needed a break. The writing is so beautiful. I'm really, really excited to keep going. So it goes childhood and then youth and then dependency. That's the Copenhagen trilogy, all of Tove's life. Most people popped into the DMs to say dependency was their favorite. This book was a gift from the amazing Alex of Lil Cherry Cordial on Instagram. Follow them if you like to laugh, because I think I've said this before, literally the funniest person on the internet. I'm Alex's biggest fan. If Alex were to ever leave Instagram, I would delete my account. Heard it here first. Okay, the writing was beautiful. I'm very excited to keep reading. I need to order the other 2. Lots of underlinable uses of language here, what childhood is, how it shapes us, our memories. Did you hear that sigh? Sorry. Okay. This was thoroughly enjoyable, though dark. Childhood. Then I read The Shipping News by Proulx, unsure. So sweet, really sweet. This is a book about self-love, self-acceptance. We have our main character, a man named Coyle. He lives in New York State with his 2 daughters and a wife who does not treat him well, mistreats him, is philandering, and she dies in a car accident. This all happens within the very beginning of the book. He takes his 2 girls with his aunt up to Newfoundland to start over. He is sort of like a down on his luck, not good at his job, can't keep a job, can't keep a woman, just pathetic creature at the beginning of the book. He moves to Newfoundland. The Newfoundland is the main character of this book. I have that video from a long time ago where I talk about the 4 types of books and the ways you might enter into a book, character, setting, etc. This is very much a setting book. Newfoundland is the main character of this book. Icy and windy, cold, waterlogged, beautiful, and wild. And anything can happen in your life in Newfoundland or anywhere. In the world of this book, you are very much at the hands of fate. It's a fishing village, and fishermen die and drown all the time. Some years are great, tons of fish, and some years there are none. We have our main character, Coyle. He moves to Newfoundland. He gets a job writing the shipping news for this tiny little community newspaper. His job gives him access to the whole community, meeting everybody and asking questions and getting to know everybody. So I loved all the newspaper stuff because I come from a newspaper family. Both my parents were reporters. They were journalists. which was really fun. There's this great plot device in which he will, in his head, narrate his life like it's the lead or the headline of a story. Local man finds dead bird on rock, or whatever. So he moves there, he gets this job, and he really just starts to build a community. His daughters find their people and they are loved. The aunt is really their ambassador into this new world. Eventually he finds new love. He thinks about the love he had with his previous wife, the difference between that love and the love he has with this new woman. He thinks about what kind of love he deserves. And it's really a journey for him to love himself before he can accept the love of this new woman. He talks about sort of being haunted by his previous love and relationship in a way that I found very moving. And the book has a happy ending, yet it's not an overtly happy ending. The happy ending is the absence of pain. In fact, I'm gonna read you the last sentence. And it may be that love sometimes occurs without pain or misery. So Proulx, our main character, spends his entire life being walked all over and abused, and the best possible ending, just find a life without pain, find a love without pain, is the best we can do. It's sweet. Yeah, I recommend this. I would say my one qualm with this book, I'm curious if other people felt this or if I'm just like sensitive to this or whatever, or being nitpicky. I did feel like there was a little bit of fat phobia in this book. Thoughts? Anyone else? Curious. Okay, the shipping news, very sweet. Good winter read. And then lastly, I read A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. I did a vlog about this book, so I won't go into it too much, but this is a sweet, short, quiet novel where nothing happens. Our main character is a man who goes up north to the north of England to the countryside to restore a medieval painting on the wall of a church. He is thinking about recovering from being at war in the First World War and how he can grow and overcome that. He's thinking about the role of religion in your life when you've already experienced what he would consider to be hell on earth in the trenches. And in many ways, like shipping news, he's thinking about the amount of love he is entitled to in his life, what goodness he can have. A Month in the Country. Okay, those were the 5 books that I read this month. And every month I like to share some other things that I've been enjoying. I have 3 this month in 3 different medium because I'm such a well-rounded person. First of all, Station 11 on HBO, a adaptation of the Emily St. John Mandel book, which I did not read. I don't love science fiction-y post-apocalyptic books, so that never was on my radar, although maybe now I should read it. I loved this show. I don't really know a lot of other people who liked it. I tried to get my parents to watch it. They gave up after an episode. I don't care. It's so good. First of all, it's about the power of art to heal, the power of words to heal. Our main characters are in a Shakespeare troupe trying to heal from an apocalypse through art and making of art, the beauty of words and writing and storytelling. How we tell our stories and how telling our stories helps us heal. I loved it so much, and the main character is so beautiful. I love her. She wears like a harness with a knife at all times and like a fanny pack and a long braid. I'm just obsessed with her. Okay, the next thing I want to recommend is the Sheila Heti diary entries in the New York Times. The New York Times approached Sheila Heti about writing fiction, and she came back and said, I just digitized however many years of my personal journal entries and alphabetized this every sentence, and I want to print in multiple segments, just out of context, alphabetized sentences from my journals. And somebody said yes. Fucking love that. The balls to print this. I do a lot of shitting on the Times, especially their book section, but I give them props for printing this. The alphabetization highlights the repetition of certain things. So like the first segment that came out was A through C. So every sentence that started with AM. AM low on money. AM late for this. Am I dying? There have been 2 segments printed so far. I'm sure you can find them if you just Google New York Times Sheila Heti, A through C and D through G. I'm not sure. Look it up, enjoy it. It won't be for everyone, but I love that she did that. Okay. Lastly, I have a podcast recommendation for you. My friend Alex has this new great podcast that she's producing called Normal Gossip. It is what it sounds like. It's a show about gossip. On it, the host tells a anonymous bit of juicy storytelling. I highly recommend you start with the episode called, I think it's called Dickmatized, with Sam Sanders. Sam Sanders is the guest. It starts with a conversation around what is gossip. He talks about how he covered politics for a long time and mostly that was gossip, which is true. Gossip is a really gendered term. The use of the term gossip as defamatory is sort of used to keep women from talking to each other in a way that often is a network of information that keeps people safe. It's how women tell each other who to trust within a community, what is going on, who needs help. When men do it, it's not called gossip, it's called information. But when women do it, or it's like within the world of domesticity, suddenly it's gossip and it's useless, which is sort of a heavy conversation, not at all what the podcast is like. The podcast is fucking hilarious, really funny. That episode with Sam Sanders is all about a trashy, terrible boyfriend who just seems like the worst. And those are my recommendations for January. I am gonna go pick a new book. I don't even know what my first read of February is gonna be. February is gonna be a really good month. Justin's birthday is in February and we're gonna do some celebrating. I have a really exciting weekend planned over President's Day weekend. I'm gonna have a friend come stay with me. And when February is over, we will be nearing spring. We'll be so close to spring and that is amazing. Hope you all had a beautiful first month of 2022. Tell me below, please, what was your favorite book that you read this month? Okay, love you nerds, bye.